Back here, Radio Row, Super Bowl 51, Zach Gelb show in Houston, and now joining us is the great Joe Buck, who's going to call the game coming up on Sunday. Joe, great to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, this is kind of the calm before the storm, and it's funny, you walk into a big convention hall like this, and you realize all this stuff is building toward that kickoff if it ever comes. It feels like it won't ever, but we're getting closer.
Before we get to that, this is actually a little bit funny because your dad and my dad used to work together, and my dad once ordered a Heineken in front of your dad, and your dad smacked my dad's hands and said, "Bob, if you don't get a Budweiser, you're picking up the entire check."
Well, he was a Bud man, I think almost as much as Harry Carey was back in the day. So I've seen him do that before, and that doesn't surprise me at all. However, these days, I think I might order the Heineken. I don't know. He might be smacking a beer out of my hand, too, if he were around.
Well, we're sponsored today by Corona and Corona Light, so I'll be grabbing a Corona.
All right, good. I'm all for that, too.
In Philadelphia, people don't like you in Philadelphia, and I don't get it. Why do you think that is?
Because when we do a game, and I'm standing next to Troy Aikman, who played in a lot of games against the Eagles, people want to hear all good about their team and all bad about the other team. So we have to kind of walk down the middle lane there. And when I'm not a Philly guy, or I'm not a Dallas guy, or I'm not a Giants guy, I'm not a whatever it may be, Packers guy, it's kind of a rough walk in the middle of the road because everybody, wants to hear their highlights with the play-by-play guy going nuts for them and getting upset when the other team does well. And our job is to get excited for both sides. But that being said, when I'm in Philly, I love it because people will give you trouble, but they'll pat you on the back and then buy you the aforementioned Heineken, or Corona. So I love being up there, and I'm glad to be in a town where people care. If I was in a city where nobody really cared about that stuff, that would concern me a lot more.
Their passion is so great, like you were saying, and all they want to do is see Carson Wentz deliver them a Super Bowl one day. Where's your confidence in this Eagles regime right now? They have the quarterback, but now they got to surround that quarterback with talent.
Yeah, high. I mean, my confidence is high in the people that they have there. It's kind of funny, every guy that they seem to get rid of under the previous regime, now they kind of need back. You need a Deshaun Jackson type. Man, Murray was a pretty good running back, and it's like, and McCoy, and it's like these guys are gone now, and so now we got to go get some difference makers to put with Carson. But I know this, Carson came out really smart. He came out prepared, and I think he's tough. And I don't know what more you want out of a quarterback. Smart, prepared, tough with a big arm. I thought he had a great rookie year, and I think if that's where he starts, I think it's exciting to try to figure out where he finishes.
We go from someone that has potential to be a great quarterback to someone that is an all-time great quarterback, the man playing this Sunday in Tom Brady. You've seen a lot of quarterbacks. Is he the best ever?
I think he is. That's a touchy subject, though, even in my own booth. But I think Troy believes he is, too. I read something where Bradshaw said Joe Montana is the Jack Nicklaus or the Arnold Palmer of our generation, and maybe so. But I think when you consider that Brady has done this over a 15, 16-year stretch during a salary cap era with different castmates every time, and he could win his 5th Super Bowl this Sunday, I think between he and Belichick, it's the greatest combination that the NFL has seen, and I think it's one of the best in all of pro sports. So if you're asking me, yeah, I think he's the best to ever do it.
The way that Belichick has built this thing up with Brady, they just pick and plug each and every year, and you see someone like Chris Hogan, who went to Monmouth for 1 year, was a Penn State lacrosse player for 3 years. They're so successful. On the other side, you look at this Atlanta defense, Dan Quinn, a bright defensive mind, but they're not having the best defensive year. If Atlanta's going to want to win this game on Sunday, they're going to have to stop Brady and the Pats a few times. How do they do that?
I think their defense is better than people realize. I think they're young, so they started out kind of sloppy and learning. And I was just at their practice yesterday, and I'll tell you, their energy level is high. I think their confidence level is high. They know they're playing arguably the greatest ever. They're not going to be surprised by that. I just believe that when you look at the games they've played in the postseason, it's a pretty good roadmap to how their defense is playing. They did a good job against Aaron Rodgers. They forced turnovers. They know how to force turnovers. And I just believe Atlanta's going to come out and play really well. So I know I'm in the minority on that, and the more I talk to people, the more I realize that. But I'm kind of an Atlanta believer. So I'm looking at a game that's not crazy high scoring, but there are going to be some points put up. And I think it'll be tight to the very end. And maybe that's more hopeful than realistic, but that's what I'm going with here on Friday.
It would be good TV. This offense for Atlanta, we knew that Matt Ryan was a good quarterback. We knew that Julio Jones was a good wide receiver, but no one saw them getting to this spot when the season did start. How did they get here?
Well, I think they believed in their coach. I think Matt Ryan got a lot better. People don't really remember the kind of year he had last year. I think he threw 16 interceptions, fumbled a ton, and was confused by the system that Kyle Shanahan brought in there. And now Kyle Shanahan has gone from an offensive coordinator that really couldn't communicate with his quarterback. Matt Ryan couldn't figure out the verbiage of the offense, and he had a tough time, to kind of being this hot commodity, and now he's obviously going to be the head coach of the 49ers. So I think it's all quarterback based. And, once the quarterback settled in and you've got 2 running backs, 4 receivers, a good offensive line that was the only offensive line that was healthy all year, I think that's how they got here. And then that good young building defense with a really good head coach. I'm a Dan Quinn believer, and so we'll see. They have a big task on Sunday, not to be in awe of the situation and not to be in awe of the team on the other sideline, but I think they'll do well with it.
In terms of TV, how do you guys cover Brady and Goodell for this weekend?
I just think it's kind of irrelevant. I asked Brady in our production meeting, just so I can say I've asked you, if you were to win this and there's a big trophy presentation, how much are you worried about Roger Goodell on the stage? Said, I don't care. And it wasn't like a defiant I don't care. It was like, I don't care. And I think they're all past that. If they were still hung up on Deflategate like the rest of the world, I don't think they'd be here. They moved on, and that's kind of the nature of professional sports. And I think they're classy guys. I mean, Belichick's, if they're mad, they're not going to show that on. I just think they're above that. I may be wrong, but I would bet on Brady's class to win out, Robert Kraft's class to win out, Belichick's class to win out over any kind of vendetta. I think that's got to be behind them.
Now, last TV question for you, and this may be for the technical director or the producer, but I'm going to ask it to you since you do represent Fox as you're on the Zach Gelb show. In Philadelphia, you guys show Jerry Jones a lot whenever it's a Cowboys game. But then when they lose, we never see the shot of Jerry Jones. Why is that?
Oh, it's simple. Jerry Jones knows when the camera could potentially be on him. And unless you have a camera in the bathroom, you're not going to see him. So, I mean, it's amazing how much garbage is talked about on radio shows, and that people think that, well, there's some big conspiracy because they only show him when they're winning. If we could find him in the hallway stomping away, we could have Jerry cam and follow him that way, but he's not visible. He goes to the back of the booth and starts kicking stuff, I guess, but we don't have cameras back there. So there's the big mystery solved. He's not visible to our cameras.
Thank you so much. Have a great call on Sunday.
All right, see you.